Hello.
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 Hello. Yes.
Brian, you were almost right on that one. Okay, well, that was several takes later.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, this is Mike Nawrocki, director of Sheerluck Holmes.
And this is David Pitts, producer of Sheerluck Holmes and the Golden Ruler.
Oh,
Next.
I'm Brian Roberts, and I was on this show the story artist and also character designer.
Woo!
And I'm Tim Hodge, and I didn't work on this show that much. I was on the development team, and
Oh, don't downplay the importance of development.
I'm not.
Especially
I'm
on
just
this
saying.
show, because this show was very smooth in the pre-production process.
Yeah, well,
Because the script was so solid.
this
we
is
just-
the
so
first
well
time I've
developed.
seen this show all the way through, so my commentary will be very fresh.
Oh, good. It'll be like Man on the Street.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well,
Man
we-
on the Street with headphones on his
But not
ears.
on the street.
We have 4 people on commentary this time, just so we can have a little bit more play. And we got letters about not having commentary on Lord of the Beans, so we're
That was
doubling
one
it
letter,
up.
and it was from my mom. Okay, so give it
We
up.
have four of
the
us in
first
here.
time.
Yeah. So we better have some interesting things
Boy,
to
are we
say.
going to have some comments.
Yep. This is the intro, all
You
right.
know, we've had a lot of people talking to us about redoing the intro and even redoing the music, and yet, I think the fans just love this music,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
the theme song.
The theme
We should
song.
update little clips of it, but yeah, I don't think we can change the theme song.
I think we have to have like a new urban twist on it, a lot of drums and a lot of,
Like rap.
yeah, like a rap
All
version
the
of it.
veggies
I think
rap.
that would be good. So,
We gradually keep upping the bar on ourselves on every show. This show, we've added a different rendering to the process. So this show even we up the bar yet again. So
yeah, the mental ray renderer, which maybe we can get more into in a little bit when we get into a more complicated scene.
yeah.
Hi kids, welcome to VeggieTales. I'm Bob the Tomato.
And I'm Larry the Cucumber, and we're here to answer your questions.
That's right. And
Okay.
today's question comes from little
Well,
Erica Bangaman.
I'm going to talk about Erica Bangaman. Should we
Sure,
talk about
sure.
Erica Bangaman?
Bangaman.
I have a friend whose name is not Erica Bangaman, but it's very close. And he actually lived in Minot. And he was an Air Force family. I grew up also in an Air Force family, and he was stationed at Air Force Base in Minot, North Dakota. So that's kind of where I got that. So and then the shared experience of growing up, moving all over the place, and needing to make new friends when we moved. So
And of course, since we don't put actual people's names in the shows, I made Mike change it. So.
yeah, but I can't say what his real name is,
'Cause then it would defeat the whole
But it's
purpose.
fairly close to
Can we say
Erica
what it-
Bangaman though.
Can we say
yeah.
what it rhymes with?
It rhymes with
Derek.
Erica
Derek.
Bangaman.
It's funny. The letter's upside down.
Yeah, Bob's holding a
If you
piece of
look
notebook
at that.
paper upside down.
No,
Look at
the
it
child
close.
the child wrote the letter upside down on the paper. See, because
Or
my kids
that.
do that all the time.
In
Yeah,
either case, the letter is upside down from what it should be.
yeah. Well, just wait till you see the checkerboard.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about checkers.
That's foreshadowing.
Yeah.
I love this particular part where he's, Larry is so clueless in this show. And, it kind of holds that theme throughout the show. It's very much a classic, Bob and Larry again
Yeah.
to me all the way through this show.
Well, I was excited to do the whole theme of friendship using Bob and Larry, and we did that. We had our first live tour of VeggieTales Live. That was the theme of friendship in the live scenario, and we retold some classic VeggieTales stories, Dave and Jack Pickle and Josh and the Big Wall, but kind of the connecting material was this story in Bob and Larry making up and becoming better friends, and so that was that played really well for them, and it was real fun to make a show with that as the theme. This background here, this whole environment was designed by Chuck Vollmer, and he just did a really great job on it. Just kind of took a lot of, Salvador Dali influence. Well, let's talk about the history of why we did this, because for years we had wanted to do, a spoof on Don Quixote, and originally it was going to be Bob Quixote, using, Bob and Larry as Don and Pancho. or the Sancho Panza
Wasn't there
characters.
like even a sci-fi theme that entered in at one point?
Yeah, we were kind of thinking about that.
Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
We did some concept for it, like some blue sky stuff in it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
the
weird.
futuristic windmills on floating on asteroids. And,
Yep.
yeah.
But then the whole
Why?
Treasure Planet thing, then it was done
They
with
beat us
Treasure
to it,
Planet.
yeah.
They beat us to it. So, but I really liked how this played out because I think even the characters themselves with Don, and
Yeah, I think Archie really fits the role perfectly.
Yep.
He
It
just
works out
looks
really
like
well.
every drawing you see of Don Quixote.
Yeah.
I love some of the dialogue here
Yeah.
about dreams.
Yeah, we wanted to, obviously spoof on the whole impossible dream theme. So, we've got him first having an impossible dream, and then the next time he dreams the impossible theme. And originally, at the end, although we never really play it through in the actual show, this whole idea of the impossible scheme,
Right.
which is to overtake to fight the food factory, but it was getting a little
I
tired
never
at that
actually
point.
said that.
It's like, no, just fight the windmill.
I'm getting hungry again. Every time I watch this show,
Yep.
I think about food.
Yeah, there's something about that clay color that just makes you want to eat
Yeah,
beans and rice.
yeah, exactly. And chips and salsa.
And we pulled in a lot of this whole idea of Tex-Mex menu into this. Although Spanish food is very different from Mexican food, but we've kind of combined a lot in here.
Now, this is the first time I've said that I watched this, and I can't say it's a totally enjoyable experience to watch it while people are talking through the whole thing.
Sorry, I hope we're not disturbing your viewing enjoyment.
It's like going to the theater. My goodness.
All right.
Little kids kicking.
We
the
can.
back of
How
your
about if we
chair.
do all the
That's what I
lines?
Everybody.
It's like being around a bunch of rude people in
want. No, I like just a kid kicking my chair, and it'll be complete.
I like the way that we worked on not having to show a lot of construction here. That was pretty-
Yeah, that's good.
We were trying to figure out how we're going to show this factory getting built really quickly.
We pulled on the
Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, we pulled on the Stuff Mart, from the Stuff Mart bag of tricks. All you need is a tractor at the end of the shot.
That's right.
And really, that's kind of what it's like in real life. You drive by a lot, 1 week, and the next week you come back.
There
and
it
there's
is.
A tractor leaving, and there
And
it is.
there's the store.
Okay, now this food factory thing is really cool. This was, the Cheesecake Factory meets, the windmill from Don Quixote, meets Neon.
It's Las Vegas.
It meets
love
Las
this.
Vegas, yeah.
Food as big as your head.
Yep. That's some big
That's
food.
actually kind of a throwback. There was a Mexican restaurant up in Chicago when we lived up there that they always advertised burritos the size of your head.
Yep.
And I can't say that I ever thought I wanted a burrito the size of my head,
how
but
would
I
that
had
work?
one once.
Yeah.
It wasn't
They're so
quite
hard
as
to-
big as my head.
But you ate the whole thing?
I
And
did
they're
eat the whole thing, and it
they're
was
really
very
hard
good.
to stop eating. Yeah. But then you don't have to eat for like 3 days after that, so
So it's
that's
kind
good.
of sad if that's the best thing you can say about your own food is
It's as big
it
as your
doesn't
head.
taste good, but it's as big as your head.
Well, see,
Oh,
that's why
wow.
there's hope for Cafe La Mancha,
That is gorgeous.
Yeah, isn't that cool? See, look, he's
See,
got
now
a
look at
first-time
this
viewer.
checkerboard. I mean, I'm going to have to comment on this frequently. throughout this show.
Yeah,
Every
what's
time
up
I
with the
resident
watch-
checker
checkerboard?
Every
expert.
time I watched it, it's like, these guys don't really know how to play checkers.
It's
There's
Spanish
some
checkers. You
some
got
checkers on the black,
it's
some
like
on the red,
it's there's Chinese checkers and then there's Spanish checkers.
and of course he
so-
kings you with a chip. So
Like I remember recording with all the
Three,
all the
four,
chips.
five. There's not
And
enough squares, is there? Are there?
It's stylized, like
it's
like
very stylized.
Yeah.
It's so stylized.
it's kind of looking at a
like,
at a
that's
Salvador
what
Dali
you did there.
painting.
Like, totally cheated there.
Maybe it's like Spanish checkers. You've got Chinese checkers.
I think
It's-
Mike
Yes.
has said
and then
that.
you've got Spanish checkers.
It
There's an
has
echo
to
in
be.
this room.
Oh, did you say that?
I
already?
said that.
This is because we have so many.
Okay,
people in
steam
here.
out of the ears. Now, we really have never done that before, gotten so Warner Brothers with the steam out of the ears, but we thought that it really worked this time around.
I think it's
So,
funny.
It's
yeah.
funny.
As a first-time viewer
Did you laugh?
on the inside.
We were using checkers as a metaphor in this show, and I really, it's really fun because, in friendship, there's this play element, and we wanted to try to touch that their friendship, was missing that through its stressful times.
Right.
And I think the checkers was really nice working its way through.
Yeah, well, the other thing too is, we wanted to differentiate, this whole idea that Don is, Don's in charge of the restaurant, he's the boss, and Pancho is, the waiter and kind of works for Don. But, we really wanted to highlight the fact that they're friends first before they're co-workers or boss employee. So yeah, the checkers served really well for that. This idea that they work all day together, but then afterwards, they have this habit of playing checkers together, which is sort of,
right.
really highlights.
Well, there's more than, and that's what we needed in the story. There was more than just their boss-worker relationship.
Right. Well, the mirror are just still frames that Joe Spadaford painted, and then DKP manipulated to make them.
Yeah, I like that melting.
I like the Salvador Dali portrait there.
There he goes.
There's the stove.
There's the stove. You can
stove.
do really incredible things with camera angles.
Yeah. I want a stove like that.
Because I've been thinking, and I got a couple of great ideas that'll get
And now that's didn't those spuds the in the background, the spuds
the
signs
texture
there.
on all of those bags was not supposed to go on those bags. It was supposed to go on Larry's hat in the silly song.
In the silly song,
but
yeah.
it didn't work. It called too much attention to itself. And we just kind of send textures up to Canada.
Yeah.
And sometimes we tell them where to put stuff, and sometimes they
they
put
guess.
stuff
Yeah,
other
yeah,
places.
yeah.
And
And
so
I'll
put them on there.
Yeah, it worked out great.
It did work well.
Yeah.
It's the first time we've had a potato sack that doesn't have a Mr. Twisty logo.
Yeah, I know.
time.
I know.
Floor with
Thank
it.
you, Canada, because then
What's on
we
the floor?
probably
The
would have
asparagus
ended up
pellets?
there.
I kept asking Mike in several shots, what are those things on the floor over there by
Over on
the
the right by the
stove?
stove.
In some shots, the stove is not
It's
there.
cold.
It really
It's
doesn't.
cold.
Yeah, I know it's cold. Okay. In
Hey,
some shots, it doesn't.
Hey,
look like cold.
that was from my show.
Yep.
You
We
borrowed
borrowed.
that woman from.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to ask you if I could borrow those characters.
It's okay. I've
Well, we
borrowed
needed
plenty
all
of
these
yours. It's
extras.
okay.
Okay. I want to say something about that sound effect. I don't know if you guys heard it, but that sound effect.
Yeah.
Kurt had wanted to put that in Sumo of the Opera originally, and we held it out of that one, and he snuck it into this one, and he talked me into keeping it. So
Actually, we couldn't bear to watch him cry.
yeah, okay, Kurt, we'll keep it in.
Hey, you
Guess
brought
what
back
this is a
Java Java.
reference to?
Yep, we pulled back all those old.
Oh, this is so true.
It's funny because it's true.
Hey, I did work on this show. That's my voice.
That's your voice. That's right.
Now, all those extras are like this kind of compilation. Some of them are from Jonah. Some of them are from Princess and the Pie War.
Yep. Yeah, I love
We
that.
needed all
Cheesy
these-
wrote it.
These characters to eat in the restaurants, and we couldn't afford to make
Look,
lots of new
The
characters.
checkerboard.
Set up for what?
All right,
Why?
that's
Yeah,
enough out of you.
checkers.
Can you turn his microphone off? This was another one of those things, like when you're approving concept, and then models.
I was fine. Thank you, Archie. Thank you. Now,
David's a stickler for detail.
well,
He just likes
Checker-related
checkers.
detail.
I had to wonder throughout
I really
production
wanna play checkers
whether
now. It's
anybody
been so long.
Yeah.
working on the
Yeah, we
show
should
had
play
actually
checkers.
played checkers. This is one of my favorite scenes in the whole piece, actually, because I love the subtlety of Pancho's, kind of thinking about it, and yet he's really not going to go with him, and then
Right.
finally his little sarcasm at.
Well, a lot of times in VeggieTales, in this episode, Pancho is the hero of the story, and kind of the model that we use for the aha moment of the hero is to act kind of contrary to how he should act initially, and go through an experience, have that aha moment, and then act like he should. But in this one, Pancho just sort of plays the consummate friend. He's very, he acts like he should act through the whole thing. But at this one point, we wanted to kind of introduce this, level of temptation to him.
Right.
Like, he's, things are going bad, but he has been acting like a great friend up to here. But right here,
Will he
this is his
remain?
moment. Yeah, will he remain a friend? So we wanted to introduce just a little moment of wondering for the audience, but. And then Pancho comes through, and this is Proverbs 17:17.
17:17.
Yeah. So Pancho quoted a proverb right there.
Right, and then shows the guy the door.
The door. That's not a proverb.
I went to a restaurant when I lived in San Antonio. We used to go to this place. They had there's a Mexican restaurant, and they had salsa that was called. They have to bring it out special from the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's called Muerte de Mula.
Oh,
Kill a
okay.
mule.
All right.
These were fun recording these in the booth. So much talking with your mouth full of chips.
Yeah, we were just filling Phil full of chips.
And crackers. I think we were actually using crackers at the time. There was a lot of crackers in the booth.
Yeah, that's true, because chips were just a little bit too sharp sounding.
Right.
And didn't we go out to a Mexican restaurant right after this session?
We did. We did. Mexican food has been a theme throughout the show. Even after we finished posting, we went to a little Spanish restaurant across the street, if you remember, and we look out the window, and there's a movie theater right across the street from us with this red LED sort of marquee going around it, just like in the show.
It was freaky.
A really surrealistic moment.
We didn't plan it.
I love the way they turned the light out.
Yeah, I love that little light switch there.
Oh, it blew out from the door. Nice word.
Well, no, you hear a click. He shut it
Oh,
off.
you do?
Yeah.
I didn't hear the click because people were talking.
You'll see it later.
He's getting more confident in his dreams now.
I love the peas on top of the rocks where they look like these big
These
monsters.
conquistadors.
Yeah. Conquistadors.
That was a really good
That's
idea.
funny. Yeah.
Come back and fight like a pea. That's always funny.
Now I love this monster guy here. This is another
This
Chuck
is
Volmer exclusive.
incredible. Yeah.
When we
Oh
first
my
heard
goodness.
This, when we first heard this in sound effects, the sound effects guy just went nuts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It was very frightening.
it scared me. Wow.
So kids, we downplayed the sound effects a little bit more and brought up the vocalist, just so you wouldn't
Which
be
is
so
Missy
scared.
Hale, which is a friend of Kurt's from church.
Yeah. Oh, she's got a great
she's
voice.
Great, yeah.
You'll also hear her at the end of the show in the South Dakota.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, they've seen that. Never mind.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully people watch the commentary the second time
In
through.
the South Dakota
I like that. I like
I
this
like
screaming
slapstick.
transition.
I like slapstick.
Uh-huh.
Different from all the others. I now know what to do to rescue our cafe.
Okay, this is when things.
Idea than a touchdown turkey?
Oh yeah, there's a touchdown turkey. Yep.
Okay, I have to ask
suggested
though.
that for the food
Uh-huh.
activity
Uh-huh.
that we always do on the special features, that we show kids how to make a touchdown turkey. But Chris
That would be
Wall, our
cool.
DVD producer, didn't think that would be fun.
It requires 6 hours of baking.
Yeah.
It would have been a very long family activity.
Kind of like Thanksgiving.
Yeah. You need 2 days for that.
You know, the animation in this little section here is just really great.
It is.
They did a great job with it.
As he's gathering all of his goods.
Yeah,
I
his
have-
implements. Yep.
I have
Really
to
good
ask
prop
you. I have
animation.
not read the Don Quixote,
Mm-hmm.
even though I was supposed to in college, but I passed the quiz. But anyway, but I have seen stage plays and movies of this story. How close does this story relate to the book?
Has nothing
Oh,
to do
it has nothing to do with it. Actually,
Brilliant.
well, it has
Brilliant.
something to do with it. You have the
There is a guy
relationship
named
between the
Don
two
Quixote.
characters. The friendship element is really important. But see, in the book, he was actually, he was kind of crazy, and then when he came back to reality, is when he died. So the book was actually talking about,
Thanks for not having him die in our show.
yeah. Well, it's kind of the same thing with Madame Blueberry. In that book, Madame Bovary, she died at the end too. So we like to take books where people die and then make them not die. That's always good.
So any book where somebody dies at the end could be a VeggieTales.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll do
exactly.
Tale of Two Cities next. Then. Oh, sorry if you haven't read the book. I gave it away.
Oh, I could hear my laugh in there.
Oh yeah, it can.
I was in the mix.
Brian,
Yeah.
we can always hear your laugh in there.
When I was very young in middle school, I started a comic strip called Don Coyote. It was a coyote, and the sidekick was a badger.
Really?
Yeah, Poncho.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just have to say, I'm
Maybe
very
so.
proud of this costume that he's wearing there.
Oh yeah, that's
the
very
kitchen
nice.
accoutrements?
Yep.
Armor made of kitchen accoutrements.
That's very
You'll
nice.
notice he's got a little oven mitt on the side there,
Yeah.
hanging off his belt.
Like a football player.
He had so many costumes. I had to design like 5 costumes for the show because he's got his dream armor,
His dream armor, his reality armor.
his bed clothes,
Uh-huh.
his like restaurant outfit.
Yep.
Oh my
no,
goodness.
it's like, but then there was the Japa Java, and there was the It was really
This is
like
like
seven
it's
or
like a
eight
Cher
costumes,
concert.
but they're all like
Change
layers.
clothes.
If you really look at it, there's always all these different layers.
So
Yep.
you
kind of get turned on and off.
So just how many did we make?
I think it was he had like 8 costumes. Just Don had like
Wow.
8 costumes in this show.
Yep.
Which is why we couldn't afford to do extras because all of our
Yeah, all of our models.
were Don.
Yeah. Now that line "check please" was interesting because, I originally had eliminated that. We had put it in originally and
Right.
eliminated it because I just thought it was a little bit superfluous. And then it came across when we were doing final mix and the final audio, and it played really well in context of all the animation and everything. So we thought, well, let's just leave it in there.
Leave it in there. It was funny.
Okay, now this, if you
I recognize it.
yeah.
Wait. You
Well,
think...
the funny thing about this is we wanted to reuse the cell from Little Joe because we had it built already.
Which is Star of Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, Star of
we
Christmas
reused
in Little
we
Joe,
reused in Little
right?
Joe.
But then we found out that a lot of our sets have been being rebuilt anyway, so they rebuilt it. So it could have been a completely different set.
You kept all the wanted
is a-
posters
We
from
kept,
Little Joe.
yeah, we kept all the wanted posters from Little Joe, but it worked.
So
The
they
new
completely
lighting,
rebuilt it and made it look exactly the same.
but it's a very cool set. So and it kind of gives us that nostalgic feeling for old shows. But I like the lighting setup is really cool, and it it's kind of the old Spanish West, so it feels similar.
Yeah, I've had conversations with them about that.
So about rebuilding things.
Yeah.
I actually I liked the modeling on the old one better because the stones in the walls were actually modeled.
Yeah.
And on this set, they're textured.
Well, you notice it in the corners particularly where
Yeah, where
the
the
rocks
Yeah,
wrap
rocks
around
that
the
way.
corner.
is concave and it's.
I wasn't wild about that.
That's quite a quarry that can make a special rock that bends in the corner.
But it's
But guys, I don't want to insult your work.
yeah. I was gonna say, man, you better stop right now.
The set looks great.
Somebody will be mad.
Oh, I haven't seen the tail in daytime before. It's always been at night in all the other shows.
Oh yeah, we do have a
we had
daytime
to do
setup
the
for it.
lighting
Yeah.
setup.
And you still kept the stove in there for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep them warm on the Spanish prairie.
But there you see that bending rock on the left.
Oh yeah.
That goes around the corner.
I don't
Is
think
Spanish-
rocks actually do that.
Well, if you cut them and then
you could
you
actually
could cut them
chisel
down
it out
the
to
middle
do
and
that.
then
It'd be a
do
big
the thing.
By the way,
pain to do.
when I talk about texturing versus modeling is like when you make something out of clay, you actually build a little object. And texturing is like putting a sticker on something.
I love the little tears in Bob's eyes
So
there.
these
yeah.
walls are like there's a
They're like
sticker of
decals.
stone put onto the wall.
Yeah, yeah. Which works. It's kind of
That's
like
the
laminate.
difference.
It's a difference between like a laminate
More
floor.
coal droppings.
Asparagus pellets.
We have those in every time we have a stove. We believe you have to have coal on the floor.
So whoever puts the coal in the
Yeah,
in
they
the
miss.
oven
They
is
miss sometimes.
sloppy.
Yeah.
How spicy is Spanish food as compared to Mexican food? I mean, we go to
Well,
Mexican
in
restaurants a
my
lot.
experience, not very much. The whole spicy thing is more Mexican than it is Spanish.
We've talked earlier just a bit about Mental Ray. Mental Ray, the renderer that we use on the show, has added a lot of little subtle details and some of the shadows and folds in their clothing, things like that really raise the bar a little bit on the way this show looks.
Yeah, it has a real nice feel to it.
You see it on the characters, like in shots like this, around the the straps of his clothes, around the collars.
If you're not careful, computer animation can start to look really plasticky. And this just gives a nice matte, feel to everything, real warm feel.
And now it's time for Silly Songs with Larry, the part of the show where Larry comes out.
Okay, Brian, wasn't that your house in Wheaton, Illinois, right
that
there?
little blue house
Yep.
was my house in Wheaton, Illinois. It
Yep.
was a little tiny ranch that I bought in Wheaton, Illinois on Pershing Avenue.
Yep.
And I actually remodeled it, and it used to be really ugly, and I remodeled and added that little porch and the door, and
Yep.
added a foyer.
I love those.
Actually, didn't
Yeah.
even texture it.
I love those models.
Aren't those cool? Those little house models there?
And then,
Yeah.
so anyway, yeah, that's my house. Except
Is that a
it's-
dodgeball from Little Joe, or did they redo it?
Well, we redid it, but
Okay,
it's
one
not like
definitely
it's a
wanted to do a
Not like a
dodgeball.
sphere is a
It's a sphere. It's a red sphere
It's a really
with some
challenging
texture on
modeling
it.
project.
Yeah, it was kind of a genesis, or evolution from Yodeling Veterinarian of the Alps, which were the Three Scallions and Frankencelery, and I was going for that same sort of folk trio or quartet sound, and but we thought it would be actually better to bring in people that could sing much better than the Three Scallions and Frankencelery.
Well, it kind of plays with the theme too of these
Right.
supposedly sophisticated fellows living in this community.
Right.
Have the voices be really, really professional.
It's a really, really professional sound. Exactly. So, we were actually arranging to do this with the Irish tenors, who obviously have really good voices, but it just didn't work out from their schedule. And so we called a couple of friends, Matthew Ward and Matthew West, who agreed to do it. And we had a great time with those guys recording it,
They're super guys.
Oh yeah, it was, and I think too there's a quality there. We were going for more of like this folksy sound, and I think with those guys they really nailed it, and we're just really happy with how it sounded. And so there's only 2 of them singing, but we tracked them both a couple times in different parts. Kurt did all the arrangement for the vocals, and so we've just used parts of each, to kind of create a trio out of 2 guys singing. The trash can guy going in.
Right.
Kurt and I had a big fight over that because we both tried out for that part.
Yeah, exactly.
And I ended up winning, which isn't really fair because I was the director. So.
Right. You had an inside track.
Inside track. So, but we both so desperately wanted to put on our resumes that we got to sing with Matthew Ward and
Matthew West.
So here we come now into Sheerluck Holmes and the Case of the Golden Ruler. Well, I don't think we have "and the case of." It's just Sheerluck Holmes and the Golden Ruler.
Right.
So, but yeah, this is I really loved working on this show, and it's just a lot of fun.
Moody.
Starting with the bubble pipe, and the score in here, was real important just to kind of get that feeling of 19th century London. And Kurt, again, one more time. But every time we do 19th century London, we need a slightly different feel.
Right.
So, but Kurt did a great job, and then we brought in a guy who did actual live violin and just did an amazing job on it. There's Bob.
Boy, Jerry looks really strange with a mustache. I've never seen him with a mustache before.
Originally, this was going to be Petunia as the waitress.
Yeah.
And that still is the voice of Petunia, but we felt like if it was Petunia, we'd be expecting more out of her character than was actually there, because it's interesting. The idea that Sheerluck and Watson, or as Bob and Larry, would be a team, and Larry would stumble upon clues, and Bob was really the brains of the whole operation. That came from an internal idea at Big Idea a few years ago, and we actually would ask if people had story ideas to send them in, and this was a real great nugget of an idea that then we took and were able to develop into this story, and then working with Bob Lee on the script, just came up with something that was really, really fun.
One of the things about treating other people like you want, and we run into this in our business, so many people play such a large role in getting these shows out, that it's not just one person, or it's not somebody that can take credit for it. It's a big team effort.
Oh yeah.
And it's really interesting to play about the friendships that develop through the course of working like that.
Yeah.
And that's what we've got here. We summed it down to these 2 guys that,
Exactly.
And he has to learn through the show that it's the combination of both of them and their friendship that really makes them successful.
Exactly. Yep.
This little dance here that they do
looks dangerous.
I had storyboarded this sequence originally, and when we went to edit the story reel and cut the little pictures together, it wasn't working. It was kind of vague. You didn't have a sense of where they were, what they were doing.
Yep.
And so Mike and I went back.
We had fun with dolls.
A little beanie
Bob and Larry.
Beanie Bob and Larry. And we took a Beanie Bob and Larry, and we literally just hopped them around on my desk, trying to figure out what they should be doing. And so
Did you videotape it?
We would sing the song. And
we should have videotaped. Yeah, but we were having fun, just little choreography. It was like
that would have been a great special feature
for the song.
Yep.
And I love this song too, by the way, Mike.
You know what? Yeah, this song was a blast to record. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, it took quite a few takes.
It took a lot of takes.
It's like a classic Gilbert and Sullivan mile a minute sort of song.
It was funny watching you guys in the booth trying to get all those words out. That was pretty amusing.
Yeah. But this is it's a kind of the perfect Broadway style song. Now, okay, this shot right here, the voice coming out of that character is the wrong voice. But
mean,
I decided to leave it in there. No, I decided to leave it in there because of the positioning, because the camera was orbiting around really nice. And if it would have come out of Jimmy, whose voice it actually is, it wouldn't have been as nice. So
We also, in this particular set, we had to deal with the fact that it needed to be bigger for the dance, but
right.
we really couldn't fill it with as many characters as we
That's
wanted.
right. Yeah, that was how we drove how big the set should be. They have to have room to dance, on top of that, center island, and so everything else was sort of scaled to that. So it made a big place.
Beautiful set. I love that.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's funny. The buildings, the designs come from the Star of Christmas buildings, but again, they got remodeled and retextured, so they look completely different, even though they used the same concept art
Yeah,
that we
Really?
used
Wow.
for Star of Christmas.
but they did a gorgeous job with it.
Yeah, it looks really moody.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh,
And
I love
with
that cobblestone
Joe
street. That
designed
is
this
gorgeous.
new color
Yeah.
scheme. Joe initiated it, and then Chuck painted the painting.
Yep.
And just did a great job with this new spooky green London.
Yeah.
Here's his
clueless-
thoughts again. See that every
clueless
time. He has no idea what he's saying.
Jim Poole outdid himself on this scooter. It was funny because we actually were pushing him in the booth to be more and more unintelligible.
right, which is really hard for a voice actor.
I'm understanding it too much.
That was way
Really
too
try to
good. You
slur
gotta,
it a little bit
slop
more.
it up.
Okay, now the Prime Minister here is interesting because we actually did a Google search, image search for British Prime Ministers in the 1800s, and we found one that looked like Archie, and he had that beard.
Do you
And
remember what his name was?
oh, you know what?
There actually was a prime minister in the 1800s named Archibald.
Right.
And I tried doing a design based on what he looked like, and it wasn't working. So
Yeah.
this beard was really based on another prime minister.
Another
We
prime
remember
minister,
his
right,
name.
right.
It was Archibald Finefinster or something like that.
Yeah,
You don't need the world's greatest living detective.
But
I like the little popping bubbles in that,
Bubble pipe just
popping away.
brewing away there.
And Joe Spataford did the design for this set in here, and it's really, really, really nice. It's just very colorful. Yep. I was a little concerned initially when I was seeing some of the finished lighting in stills because I just thought there was so much going on that it might be distracting. But once the animation, hit with animation, it just works really well.
Now we worked a lot in this area with the footprints on the floor, if you remember.
Oh yeah.
Because we just trying to make sure that it was clear as we worked through this, because sometimes in some of the shots it's hard to see the footprints,
Yep.
and we want to make sure that the audience caught,
Yeah.
And so we had to darken them at times and lighten them,
And I remember watching this. We had the company screening on this the other day, and we have this really big projection screen that we watched it on. And on that screen, they were clear as day. It's like, there's the footprints.
I love the effect you get on the magnifying glass.
Yeah, it's really cool when it's whipping around to kind of see everything showing through it.
Brian Urin in Toronto did most of those difficult effects there with the magnifying glass. And
Yep.
they were when we first saw them, it was really fun.
Yeah, especially when they're whipping them around during the song and their eyeballs are getting
So
real
that
big.
was not a rendering thing. That was a effect.
That was an effect, yeah.
Wow.
I do a lot of magic in posting.
I love this, how clueless Larry is. Totally.
Yep. He says no, but he's a good listener. He says
Yeah.
nobody move, and he doesn't move. This was one of my favorite gags, the old fish and chips gag. The whole
Yeah.
idea of fish and chips, not again.
And their lines are very minimal. They don't they say a whole lot in the show, but it gets funnier every time you hear them.
Move along, nothing to see
Nothing to
here.
see here.
Originally, this tape was supposed to say "police line, do not cross" in sort of an old English type, but the text got so stretched out that it just because of the technical aspects of putting textured type on on surfaces that we just decided to make it yellow.
When we even showed the concept initially to the production guys, they just nearly fell out of their chairs.
Like, that's okay. It doesn't have to have type. It could just be yellow. They felt a lot better about that.
This is really complicated to have characters, rolling around in tape. Now here was a shot right here that we tried to make sure that was clear.
Yep.
That the footprints went through, and
Yeah.
and they do show there well.
Yep.
I think it worked out.
Yep. Very hardy boys.
All in a day's work.
The footprints enter and exit right here. This was how the key was stolen.
That's all they're really trained to do
That's
in
right.
Scotland Yard.
Larry's still trying to take credit here, you know, and listen.
Yep. If you're hearing this in surround, that was one of the fun things we were doing in the final mix, was having those falling peas wrap around your head.
Right. They go all around the room.
Yeah. The shadows disappeared at the doorway because we don't need quite as much mystery now. They changed the bulb above the door.
Yeah. It didn't burn out.
Yeah. So we wanted to make sure that all the glasses were filled with milk here, just so there wasn't any confusion over what type of establishment this was.
It's an ice cream parlor, right?
Yes, it is. It's an
Never
ice
any
cream parlor.
question in my mind as
Oh
a
yeah,
first-time viewer.
yeah. Oh yeah, ice cream parlor all the way. An old English ice cream parlor.
Even though I was part of the development team.
The other thing was really happy with with how it turned out was the live violin in here. And you know, typically with our shows, we'll try to, you know, Kurt does an amazing amount of instrumentation. I mean, he does all the arrangements, and he's a live horn player, and he plays keyboards, and he'll do sequences of other type of instrumentation, and it sounds great. But when we really, you know, when we're able to add like a live instrument or two on top of all of the sequence stuff, it really brings it out really well. And so, you know, Kurt will typically do live horns for everything, but in here, you know, just being able to bring in that live violin, and then you know, Asparagus so much of being able to bring in that live flamenco guitar, just gives a really nice feel to the score.
Right. Now you notice in here, all the paintings on the wall, we use these from other shows, so we didn't create any new artwork for here.
Yeah.
But we can see all of those really great. The other section we don't see them. That's where we created all the new stuff. We'll have to use those for other shows.
For other shows, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like, you know, kind of interior designers, you know, and for designing model homes, you know, they just have their warehouse of furniture and
Right.
paintings, and they just take it out of one house and put it in the
So
next
we
one.
got all these paintings on file now.
That's right.
It's 7 o'clock. I could see Big Ben in the background.
Must be
Is
after
it always
daylight
7 o'clock on the street?
saving. Yeah. It gets dark in London at night.
Greenwich Mean Time.
Yeah. The moon kind of got a little egg-like, but it looks kind of cool.
Atmospheric distortion.
Yeah. And that whole final process of seeing everything click together, you know, when we got the music, when we have the final render images, the, you know, the pristine audio, you know, because we, you know, end up listening to the audio a lot in, you know, compressed form. But when it all comes together at the end, it's just really exciting because everything just comes to life.
Yep.
And, you know, even in the midst of, you know, working 6 months on a show, you know, having it be like watching the grass grow, you know, just getting that charge again and that excitement of, yeah, it's, you know.
A lot really
it's-
happens in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
This is a story you kind of feel. For me, it's like, it's a similar feeling I have in the creation of the screenplays. You know, they really come alive at that point, and then there's that whole, you know, 6 months of making it.
Right.
And then, you know, that feeling once again of, oh yeah, this is a story. It's coming together.
You just don't get it. When you want to start treating me like a friend, come talk to me.
What don't I get? But
Watch this little action here. Bob's hopping off. He's got the smushed hat.
Flip.
He pops it open. I love that.
That was a
I like
nice,
the way he's got
nice
a
animation
receding
ad.
hairline, but it hasn't affected his sprout.
Yeah. Here's Sheerluck's house, which
I like
was
this little
Jiggle's
pan.
house.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Sherlock trivia question.
what
instrument
instrument did he
Sherlock
play?
Holmes play?
He played a violin.
Very good.
That's right.
Larry's a tuba guy.
He's more of a tuba guy. A violin would have been
Funnier
harder to
that
pull
way.
off
I
with
think
no
it's funnier
hands.
that way.
Yeah.
Tuba is always funny.
And actually, Kurt had just a book of classical music, you know, public domain classical music pieces, and we just sat through it one day and listened to, you know, different. He actually played it out on the tuba until we found one that was adequately sad enough, you know, to put for Sheerluck to play. I think that one worked
And
really
some
nice.
of this, I don't have any idea how these people came up with these, the things that they say, because it's clear to me that what Scooter said doesn't even rhyme with what they said.
Well,
It's
you
like
must
it's
speak
like
Scottish.
A ruler. It changes every time it
Ruler.
iterates.
Yeah.
You know.
then come, Dr. Watson. Oh, can you wait here a minute? I'll be right with you.
Okay, I love this. Is one of my favorite scenes in the show right here. As he's getting battered by the maids.
Yeah, this is pure comedy.
Actually, it's comedy with lots of special effects.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
effects comedy.
It's great.
Now, Mike and I discussed this a lot. The third voice up here, as you listen to the third maid, is Mike's voice, and I struggled all along with it's barely legible.
Going for that Monty Python thing. But yeah, we brought in that's actually David's daughter Rachel, who did a great job on that line, and then Sydney Trent, who does the voice for Petunia,
Right.
doing the other two maids. But I couldn't get quite the right performance I was looking for in this delivery, so I said, okay, I'll try it myself.
Right. Right.
But I don't know. I guess you be the judge of if you understand it or not.
And I love that gag. I don't know why, but it's just funny.
An anvil falling on the head is always funny.
Yeah.
I love the look of those shingles on that house. They're kind of overly textured, but it kind of has a real cool cartoony feel to
Yeah,
it.
it does.
So that
Yeah.
was funny.
Yeah.
This is really sad. I did all these great paintings that are in all those frames on the wall,
Uh-huh.
and they're really fun, and you never really see them.
Well,
So that was a lesson.
All that time is wasted.
they're really there,
And
You
actually-
feel them in the set. If they weren't there, then you would know.
Right, you would know. So,
Yeah.
look real close. You can see these fun paintings of King George as a potato and
Yeah.
Queen Elizabeth as a radish. And
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, maybe that should be a special feature.
See, look, you can see it like that.
there's-
See?
there's
Yeah.
A cabbage head.
Yeah.
Mother
Lettuce.
Queen
Yeah.
Mary or something as a
Yeah.
cabbage.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
one. And there's
Mary,
a
Queen
Admiral
of
Archibald
Cabbage.
up there.
Yeah. Is that Bloody Mary? Is Mary Queen of Scots Bloody
You
Mary?
do feel them.
Mary Queen of Squash. That's what we could have
Oh,
done.
yeah,
Mary Queen of
yeah,
Squash. There's
yeah.
the pun.
There you go. So we'll have to file that one away.
Don't have a clue. Usually
There's that little magnifying glass effect.
So the peas move up and down the hall, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Sometimes they're down low. And
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. It just depends on how we needed to stage everybody. We moved them around.
I really love the fact that the French peas are the British guards.
Well, it's kind of like the Swiss being the guards at the Vatican. you know?
Yeah,
Right. Go
yeah.
figure.
But with less fancy costumes.
That's right.
Look up Swiss Guard on the internet. They're really pretty outfits.
Okay, now this is the fastest jog ever. So he goes from there, goes to tell the king, and then the king appears. That's cartoon
In that
time right
he
there.
hopped back there and he told the king.
Yeah, and
What
the
he
king
knew.
called the press conference.
When we first rendered this out, Paul had sunglasses on.
Oh, yeah. It looked really
It was
weird.
a totally different vibe.
So-
It's kind of like this really cool. king.
Yep. So thank you, Colin, at DKP, for
Watch
getting
these
that
peas in the
render
background
fix in.
popping.
We actually, had to re-render then
That's
all
a
those
cool-
paw shots back in.
It's like
Yeah, I
a
like
ripple
the-
of pea sword
Yeah.
of pea pikes.
That's it. I get it now. Thank you, Detective Trout. You stole my idea and took credit for it.
So I wanted to make Ma Grape the queen because we hadn't
Oh, I
seen Ma
remember
Grape
her.
in a really long
Oh,
time.
10
yeah.
years.
And
Yeah.
so I told Mike that I thought it would be funny if Pa is the king to make Ma Grape the queen.
Mhm.
But the problem is we didn't have Ma Grape as a
Yeah,
model. It
yeah.
would have been a new character.
New character.
Which
Yep.
is a big strike on our budget.
Yep.
So we ended up using Madame Blueberry for the non-speaking queen role.
Has been trained, to tape and get people away from the scene.
Now you remember when we were first working through the rendering on this, Paul Grape had sunglasses on.
Oh, that's right.
Remember
Yeah.
the sunglasses? It was a really cool sort of blue sort of look for Paul.
Yep. Yeah. So Colin Davis was really nice to go back and have them re-render everything without glasses, because you're wondering why a king would be wearing sunglasses.
It was a little odd.
Well, if you've gotten beyond the wondering why a king would be a grape, then having him in sunglasses is just a little bit too far to go.
On this show, the script was great, and then when we first did the story pitch, Todd Carter pitched the whole show,
Mm-hmm.
and we were all just sitting there cracking up, and we realized what a good classic
Yeah.
veggie
Yeah.
this was.
Yep.
'Cause, when it's funny in the pitch,
Yep.
then you know you got something good on your hands.
Yep.
And it was funny in the pitch.
Yep. We wanted, in this whole episode, we wanted to sort of spoof the whole genre of, detective stories, whether it's, 19th century detective stories or modern detective stories. So, just bringing in this whole, thing of, fish and chips having jurisdiction,
Right.
sort of the feisty cops, versus the detective, whether it's like Magnum PI or something, and then all the way up to like, the high tech detective treatment, whether it's Quincy or CSI, so we go into this little sequence here. It's just a lot of fun to go high tech with this, 19th century crime.
Right,
Sort of
exactly.
the ridiculousness of it.
Sort of 21st century.
That's right.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is really cool. This turned
Joe
out great.
designed all the graphics, and then DKP did all the animation.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah, it turned out great.
Those look white.
So fun.
Well,
Oh,
they're
because you're in-
negativized,
you're in-
yeah.
yeah, you're-
What does
You're
this
in
have to
negative
do
land.
with- What does this have to do with
It's night vision.
19th century London?
Well, nothing really. It's just fun.
21st century television.
Yeah.
We gotta have slick graphics for the kids.
Kids love the
Keep
slick
them glued to the
graphics.
screen while they're watching.
Kids don't watch CSI to see what we're talking
Good.
Yeah, and they should keep it that way. When Chris and I were editing this little piece in here, and we needed Frere Jacques, Kurt was working on something else, but we just went over to him and said, hey, Kurt, we just need Frere Jacques. We have to time it out to Frere Jacques. Could you just give that to us?
Give that to us.
So he pulled up his
Quick.
accordion. Yeah, his accordion sample and gave us a quick Frere Jacques accordion, and we plugged it in. It was perfect.
I love the whole fact that the guards in Buckingham Palace are French peas.
Yep,
There's just
yep.
something that's particularly funny to me about that.
Yep. There they go. Okay, now you'll know why we did this in the first place, because it's the big reveal.
You have to turn your TV upside down to read it.
Oh, no, we're going to get it in a minute. We didn't want to have it readable, legible right away. Because Sheerluck reads it.
All because of you, Mr. Holmes. Oh no, begging the king's
I
pardon.
don't know if they already have it. If the marketing people already have that on their lineup, the golden ruler. If they don't, they're missing out. That could be a good, pre-purchase.
There's a
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I want one.
Yeah, I want a golden ruler.
Listen, forgive me? You bet, buddy.
And here we come back to this song again, which I could listen to a third time.
That's right.
If a crime has been committed, which makes you rather
You not only get the satisfaction of knowing that they're friends, but getting to hear the rhyme with us.
Right.
Sheerluck busted in with me before.
Did the Bob Lee wrote the lyrics for this too? This song, this little patter song.
It's a little patter song. Yep.
Whoa!
That's freaky.
Yeah, but cool.
I hope the magnifying glass didn't hit anyone.
I think the king was sitting over there. This song was a lot of fun to sing.
I bet.
We
I could listen to it over.
Phil and I
It's
were
kinda like
in the
Cola,
booth
Cola,
the same
Cola.
day doing it. Yeah, and it took a while to get through it, but once you get all the words down, it's a ton of fun.
That's great.
something you want to say?
Okay, now here comes our South Dakota fun. Originally we wanted to use the actual South Dakota theme song for this, but it didn't quite work out, so we did our own. But it was great. Chuck's painting of the Mount Rushmore was just awesome. So then he went ahead and did the rest of these illustrations, and Brian composited it all together. And I think we've got ourselves
Brian's
a brand new
drawings.
theme song for the state.
They might like to use that in some of their.
Yeah, and we couldn't use the What We've Learned Today song because the Sporks stole those in Lord of the Beans.
And Lord of the Beans, right?
So we haven't gotten that back yet.
They'll have to come back pretty soon.
Yeah, they stole the LP.
The LP, that's right. Well, it's kind of like QWERTY, it was IBM 386.
Yeah, it's
The
something
tower
like-
just wouldn't work visually.
That's right.
Yeah. Will QWERTY ever get a flat panel monitor?
Yeah, really.
At some point, kids will look at that and go, "What is that, mommy?"
Yeah. We really should get a Mac. We're pretty much a Mac house, so.
Or a power book.
Or a power book. That'd be nice, because power
Which is
books are
also
on the kitchen. Yeah.
But can you change computers and still have it be the same?
Yeah.
Person?
Well,
We
had
could
our
say it
chance-
was
we had our
QWERTY's
chance
brain.
When Lutfi messed up.
Hey!
Yeah. Oh, here comes the next one. See, we're doing a little cross promotion here for our next show.
And this was kind of a little inside joke for us, so that you could know. We we don't. We were always working on the next show before we finish the one that we're
Yeah,
on.
exactly.
So, sometimes it feels that way. Like, can we just finish this show first?
Can we just finish the show or finish one of these shows? Because we typically have 4. I mean, 4 or 5 going.
There's
at some
usually
stage,
about 5 in different stages.
whether it's promotion or script writing or visual development or actual production. Yeah, there's just
It's a ton of stuff always going on. We sometimes have to stop and think, now which show is that on? That's on. Oh yeah.
Yep.
John Troust and I did this
Yep.
credit thing.
And they
Yep.
did a
I like
really
that
good
type.
job.
What you did with the type too, with it being a little.
a little typewriter-ish.
John had
and
the idea, and he came to me and asked me if I could do it, and I said no.
that's the
And
way
then you
all
went and
ideas
said, "Hey,
start.
that's an idea."
Wait right there. And so I actually sat down right then and did a little mock-up, and I'm like, wait, it works.
Yes.
And I was amazed, and
There they go. I'm proudest of Cheesy Rodent. Cheesy, cheesy. I can't believe I got a credit
there
for
I
that.
am. I am in. That's right. I did some extras.
yeah, you did.
Developed by Tim Hodge and Mike Nawrocki and David Bitts and Gail Shemup and Phil Vischer.
Voice-wise, this was the Phil show in many ways.
Yeah,
the
really was.
The Asparagus of La Mancha. I don't know. That was pretty much just Phil. I'm trying to think what I did in Asparagus. I don't know if I did
Yeah, I
the
don't know that
groaning
you
like
did.
the Food Factory monster. Might have done that.
I don't think
yeah.
you did much at all in that one.
Yeah. So that was Phil talking to himself.
And all the fine folks at DKP, which worked lots of long hours to. And of course, Anvil. We had to have a little symbol of an anvil in the show.
Yep.
Can't buy
Yeah, we had
Probably
two
one
Warner
of the
Brothers
funniest
gags.
yeah, 2 Warner Brothers. Yeah, we had a Warner Brothers gag in each of the segments.
How about that?
The kids today even know what anvils are.
Anvil? I
Except
don't-
they're props from Bugs
yeah,
Bunny
yeah,
cartoons.
yeah, exactly.
Good job,
Probably
guys.
the same thing as
Visual effects.
safes.
You guys did a great job.
Yep.
And those compositors, they always do a good job.
I love this section of the score here.
It's fun
And
to
that's
hear
live
the-
trumpet.
that
Kurt's
Kurt
playing,
playing trumpet?
Kurt
Yeah.
playing trumpet. And actually, we have actual Spanish guitar on this too. So we did a live Spanish singer, live Spanish guitar, live trumpet, and live violin.
Missy Hale is Spanish?
Well, singing in Spanish.
Oh,
Actually, because I asked my wife for the translation. The singer is singing "Dream Asparagus Dream." So,
funny
sueña
if you think
asparagus
about it.
sueña.
Oh, there's the
Yeah.
end. Oh, it's over now.
Goodbye.
Mhm.
Goodbye, everybody.
And then the logos, and we did something with the logo on this to change.
Yep. This is
Coming up.
we pulled in what we had previously called our feature film logo, thinking, well, we'd only use this on our features. But we thought it's so nice. Let's just use it. Our regular shows are getting long enough now to be features.
Right.
So why don't we just use this?
Yeah.
This is like 55 minutes. It's only 15 minutes shorter than Jonah.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.